Hey guys, what is going on? Dylan here. What I got for you today is another build video. As you saw for that previous comment on a previous video, we're going to be doing a Void Hunter with Malfeasance and Lucky Pants. I do cover Solar and Stasis with Lucky Pants as well, and I also am going to be covering Crimson with this build as well. But yeah, the main part of this, so it's going to have a lot of similarities to my Omnioculus build for the survivability, so lots of invisibility. But instead of Omnioculus, we're going to be using Malfeasance and Lucky Pants. And now I would strongly recommend this build for any activity that has taken bosses in it. So Warlord's Ruin, Prophecy Dungeon, the Corrupted Nightfall, as you see above. This build is just absolutely fantastic for that. And now I have seen a lot of people say that they one-phased the final boss in Warlord's Ruin with Lucky Pants and a Malfeasance, especially with the tether for destroying all the little eyes that pop up. But yeah, if you're not familiar with how Lucky Pants works, basically, as long as you have a fully loaded kinetic hand cannon or hand cannon matching your subclass, when you pull it out, you get a damage buff for about 5 seconds. You can see it's counting up there. And it goes up to times 10 or times 11. I believe it's times 11. Absolutely just melts champions. That's why I have it saying champion killer, because this thing just destroys champions. So for the build itself, again, it's going to be similar to Omnioculus, so Vanishing Step and Trapper's Ambush for going invisible, Gambler's Dodge to get our melee back, but we're also going to be using Scatter Grenades. It has the lowest cooldown of any grenade, and Scatter Grenades are very, very strong. And we're going to be using Malfeasance, obviously, with our Lucky Pants for a lot of the damage, but we're also going to be using grenades for a lot of the weakening aspect of it. So we have Echo of Undermining, Echo of Provision. Those are going to work hand in hand with each other. And then Echo of Harvest and Echo of Starvation, where we basically create Orbs of Power and Void Breaches. And then when we pick up those Orb Breaches or those Orbs of Power or Void Breaches, we actually get Devour for extra survivability. So Invisibility, Devour for survivability, Grenades for weakening enemies, and obviously Malfeasance with Lucky Pants for the domination of damage, which I was very impressed actually with. I mean, I already knew about Lucky Pants and Malfeasance, but it never ceases to amaze me how strong that this build can be, especially on activities with taken enemies. So here you see this yellow bar here, and we're just gonna do the switch, get that damage multiplier up to times 10, and just absolutely just melts that taken boss. So I'm going to show a little bit more examples of basically things getting melted. Now for the mods, I would use mods that work with Malfeasance and grenades, because that's kind of what I'm focusing with this build. So Kinetic Siphon and Kinetic Weapon Surge mods with Malfeasance, and then Firepower, Bomber, and Innervation for reducing your grenade cooldown or making orbs with grenades, because we're going to be throwing a lot of grenades with this build for weakening enemies. So we want those grenades back as quickly as possible. Not to mention that grenades are going to give us melee energy as well per that fragment that we have equipped. So just want to basically give us an out as much as possible, if that makes sense. So we can go invisible at any point. We can pick up a Void Breach and have Devour, or make orbs and get Devour. So you should constantly have Devour with this build. That is one of the main things. As long as you're picking up orbs, as long as you're picking up Void Breaches, you'll have Devour. Now, I can't talk about Lucky Pants without talking about Crimson. Crimson is fantastic for this build as well. Basically, if you're not familiar with Crimson, it does a 3-round burst, and it heals you with kills, and precision kills reload the mag. What makes Crimson so good with Lucky Pants is that, like Malfeasance, each individual shot is counting up that multiplier. It's a 3-round burst for Crimson. So each one of those rounds for the 3-round burst is also counting up that multiplier. So it gets to the max damage that it can very, 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 very quickly. Not to mention that it heals you and reloads the mag. So very, very, very good with Lucky Pants as well. So I had to show off Crimson. I had to at least mention it. Or else I feel like I was going to get some hate in the comments. But yeah, for non-taken activities, Crimson may be the go-to. And for activities with taken, then I would strongly recommend Malfeasance. And then you can see here, I'm just absolutely melting that boss there with Crimson, which is just wild to me on this Legend Lost sector. And yeah, I mean, it's Lucky Pants, hand cannons. For damage phases, you could switch out while you have that out of luck countdown timer. You can switch out to another weapon and do damage with your heavy weapon while you are waiting for your countdown timer for your Lucky Pants to proc again. And you can see here, I mean, now Crimson probably with Devour is a little bit of overkill with the invisibility with Devour and Crimson, but I mean, more survivability, whatever. I'm not going to get mad over more survivability versus not enough. So it works really, really well, and you should really rarely ever die with a Crimson Lucky Pants build with Devour also on top of that. And the invisibility. It's just crazy. Now, when I initially used Lucky Pants, I used it for solar. Now, the reason for that, and I had to mention this in the video, I know we wanted to talk about the Void Hunter, but when you pop the Golden Gun Super, the one that does the 3-shot increased precision damage one, I think it's Marksman, each individual shot works with Lucky Pants as well. So you'll see here in a second, we're going to pop our Super, and we're going to shoot, I think it's like, let me see, what's the damage? I don't remember. 67,000, and then the next one was like 120. So it's going to go up 60%. That also works with that golden gun. Now, note, it does not work with the 6-round one, the one where you get ammo back from ignitions. That one does not work with Lucky Pants, but Precision or Marksman, I think is what it's called, that one does work with Lucky Pants. So you can get about 450,000 for each precision hit on certain bosses, which you'll see here in a second. Now, obviously, it's not as good as Celestial Nighthawk, so you could do like a Celestial Nighthawk swap and then come back to Lucky Pants and Crimson or Malfeasance, but it's without even having to switch. You're still getting about 450 to 500,000 for that super, and then you have Malfeasance with all the damage that does as well. So yeah, I like Solar a lot for this. Void is also really, really, really good, especially if like Warlord's Ruin, that final boss, you shoot a tether at that boss and just go to town with your this basically the switch and getting that damage buff from Malfeasance. I've heard a lot of people say that they can easily one phase that Warlord's Ruin boss. I haven't tried it yet personally. But yeah, that is the solar aspect of the build. Does a ton of damage. I'm going to leave a link below for the Void version of this build, not the Solar or the Stasis one, because, again, this video is mainly about the Void version of the build. And I do have a clip here at the end where I show you the Stasis variant as well, because you can have, I think it's called Whisper of Rending, where it does increase damage to frozen targets or stasis crystals. I'm going to show that off a little bit as well. But here you can see the boss, pop my super, 94,000, 156, and then 204. So you see that was stacking just like Lucky Pants does. So 94, 157, 205, or 204. And then obviously you just switch back to Malfeasance and just continue getting that damage modifier. So, yeah, but the main thing I would use this for is probably Grandmaster Nightfalls and just melting champions. Very, very, very good for the Corrupted Nightfall. But I would probably recommend Void. If you're going to do a GM Nightfall, I'd recommend Void for the enhanced survivability with the invisibility and Devour. All right, so last clip, and then I'm out of here. So we're going to be using the Stasis version of this build on Kel Echo. I'm just going to show you the beginning part of this damage encounter. We threw a Silence and Squall at him. We switch out, do a ton of damage, and now we're going to switch out to our Apex Predator, get a couple shots off here, and by the time we get those 2 shots off and reload, we are already we could just now switch back and get our Malfeasance buff. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Love you. Leave a like, subscribe. Bye.